Welcome everyone to our KM Global Week event, first event in Israel 2025. We are very pleased to meet today Vincent Ribiere. Vincent is one of the KM leaders worldwide. We will say a few minutes, a few things about Vincent, but before I want to explain that this is a series of events that we are holding already for something like 10 years before the idea of KM Global Week started even. And every year we in Israel celebrate three major events. One long one, that will be our annual conference. One medium, where we go to one organization and learn what they are doing in KM for half a day. So that will be the medium. And one short one, where we meet virtually. And because it's virtually, we take the opportunity to learn from outside of Israel and to meet some KM leaders worldwide. A few years ago, we started inviting other people from the KM community, from the global KM community, to this event, because as most of our speakers, the people that we invite don't really speak Hebrew, there's no reason to do it only for us. So we're very pleased to have here people from the whole KM global community. So welcome aboard. And you know what? I'll be short and I'll stop here with my introduction because we really have several things we want to speak about today. So I'll start by introducing Vincent. First of all, Vincent.
Moria, you don't need to introduce me. I'm going to talk about myself for 1.5 hours, so I think people will get
I want to say three things about you.
Okay. So
Three
please
things.
go ahead.
First of all, Vincent, his former title is he's managing director of the Institute of Knowledge and Innovation of South East Asia, and he sits in Bangkok. That would be the first thing. So that's his formal profession. He will speak about his formal role. Vincent, you will speak about what you do and what you did, but what you won't, I'm not sure that you will have the opportunity to say. So I'll allow myself to add two additional things. One, that he's not only a smart person. I didn't want to say a smart guy because that sounds bad. He's not only a smart person, but also a funny person. And now, Vincent, you have no other option, but you have to bring in some humor into your lecture. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing, which is not less important, he started as a colleague, but turned into a friend. So Vincent, I'm so glad that I know you through KM, because now we can say that we are also KM and friends. Okay, so Vincent, I'll give you the stage and please introduce yourself and start. We have a very busy agenda for today, but I'll leave that for you. You may start.
Thank you very much, Moria, for the very nice introduction. And so I will try to come up with some good jokes, not only bad ones today. So hopefully it will come naturally. But yes, it's thank you all for being here today. It's a great pleasure to be with you and to share a bit more my experience or my history about how I came up to knowledge management and what I've been doing over the past 26 years now in that field. So thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very honored to get the chance to share with you a bit of my background and some of the things that I've been working on for the past decades. Okay, so I prepared a presentation and probably with much more content than I will be able to present tonight. But let's see how things goes. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
In the screen? Wonderful. So first of all, happy KM week to all of you. It's going to be a very busy week, I guess, and super busy week for Moria. And so it's good to kick off this meeting. We have an event tomorrow morning also in Thailand, and there are so many events all over the world. So that's a wonderful week to celebrate knowledge management. So The agenda for today is to share about my KM story a bit. So that's my chance to my moment of fame. So I will take advantage of this. Usually I don't like to talk too much about myself, but since I'm invited to do so, so I will gladly do so. And then I will talk about the linkage, how I perceive the linkage between knowledge, creativity, and innovation, followed by some of the learnings we have gained over the years running the Global MIKE Award. MIKE stands for Most Innovative Knowledge Enterprise. And then we can have a session of Q&A, but feel free to interrupt me at any time all along the presentation. I'd be delighted to do that. So let's start and let's go back to the roots on who am I. And so if we really go back to the
just a minute,
origin,
Vincent.
yes?
I'll
Yes?
mute everyone and please unmute yourself because I see
Okay.
that there are some noises.
Okay. Okay,
Here we
I'm
go.
back. Okay, wonderful. So let's go back to the origins of my creation. So on September 28th, 1970, something happened, and that's where I was created. So if I'm here today, is for this special moment of my life. So no, more seriously. So just to tell you, so I come originally from France. I've now spent half of my life in France and half of my life abroad. I was born in Aix-en-Provence, for some of you who have been to the south of France, in the Provence region. Aix-en-Provence is not far from Marseille, or you may have heard about Cannes or Nice or Saint-Tropez or Monaco. So this is all roughly in the same area. So that is where I still have my father, who's 94 years old, and my brothers, sisters, and many nephews and nieces. So I come exactly from a small town which is called Manosque, which is in Provence, like I said, very close to Aix-en-Provence. And so a lots of lavender field, a lots of almond field, and so this is where what used to be the small company L'Occitane, you may have known about this cosmetic company, and now they are all over the world. But at my time, when I was a teenager, I was working in this small factory during summertime just to make a bit of pocket money, and it was very small company, maybe less than 100 employees, but nowadays it's quite an international company. So all the products of L'Occitane are still produced in my hometown. It's a very small town, 20,000 inhabitants. So we have more students at Bangkok University than there are people living in my in my hometown, just to compare. But also, so all the products are still made there. So that's where I grew up, and then I went to high school. Then I went to what we call an engineering school in France to become an engineer. So it's 5 years after high school, and so I was trained as a manufacturing industrial engineer. I followed that by a master's in computer science and automation, and then I applied for a research grant to study abroad and, to conduct research abroad. And my research for my master's thesis was related to assessing the quality of information system in hospital environment. And I had read an article written by a professor at American University in Washington, D.C., and so I got in contact with him, and then I was able to go and visit for a year. So it was originally for 1 year, and I got the opportunity to teach a class at American University as part of my activities. It was a class it was the beginning of the World Wide Web, and everyone wanted to create their website or whatever. So I taught a class that was called Creativity and Computers at the time. So looking at how computers can help to support people's creativity. So I taught this class and discovered that I love teaching, and I say why I think I really want to stay in that field. And so to be an academic, of course, you have to do a PhD. So I looked around in Washington, D.C., and I found a program at George Washington University, which was just starting. It was in 1999. And it was the first PhD program in knowledge management. And at the time, I had really no clue what knowledge management was all about. But I met the program director, Professor Michael Stankowski, and he told me a little bit about this topic, and he was also interested to have me as one of his PhD students. So he became my advisor, and that's how I really started into the field of knowledge management in 1999. So I took my first class about knowledge management in spring 1999 with my dear friend Art Murray, that has participated a lot also in some past KM Global Network event. And so this was more or less the syllabus of this first class that I took. There was already a book from the Harvard Business Review on knowledge management. There was not much literature. There was few books. Of course, there was a book from Nonaka and also the book from well, it's going to come back to my mind, but the very well-known book from
Working Knowledge of Davenport.
Yeah, Davenport. Thank you, Davenport
and Larry Prusak.
And Prozac. Yes, thank you, Moria. And so so I started to take some of the classes in the field, and then started to do my research. So at that time also GW, because it was really the time in Washington, D.C., where a lot of baby boomers were likely to retire. And so the US government started to realize that they should do something to try to transfer this knowledge of these civil servants to the next generation. So there was a lot of interest, growing interest in the field of knowledge management. The World Bank also was doing a lot of work on knowledge management at the time. So there was really an ecosystem where knowledge management was growing very fast, and a lot of consulting companies were also, who were working for the government, were also very much interested in KM. So GW decided again, through the lead of Professor Michael Stankowski, to create an institute that was called the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation. Well, it was first called, to be honest, it was called the Institute for Knowledge Management. And then later on, after 2 years, they realized, well, that knowledge was a very important contributor to innovation, so it was rapidly rebranded the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation. So this institute was composed of some PhD students, and again, Dr. Stankowski had around 20 or 25 PhD students at the time working on this domain. A lot of them were all working for the government or for the consulting companies, so they were really in the field. So, and then we invited also, everyone interested to support and to find some new solution to grow this discipline. So it was a very, we had a meeting every Saturday, and there was a lot of very interesting exchange on this growing field of knowledge management. And so one of the first work or output of this research group was this framework, which in fact was a work of, became the PhD dissertation of Dr. Francesco Calabresi, who was a close friend of mine and who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And so they came up with this framework where the four main pillars of knowledge management were people, process, technology, and learning. And And I mean, we have seen that again and again in a lot of places. Very often, the learning pillar is omitted, which I believe is a bit of a mistake. There was also lots of work happening around the organizational learning work, Peter Senge's The Fifth Discipline, and so on. So we thought also that learning, which is more or less, I mean, how knowledge is created, was an important pillar. So a lot of work. So different PhD students were working on different pillars, and so we more or less slice it, dice it in different ways, and everyone was working on contributing on one particular section of this framework. So there were a couple of, well, more than a couple. There was a lot of publications that came out of this research group. One of them was the first book on creating the discipline of knowledge management that was edited by Michael Stankowski, but mainly each chapter was a PhD student work. Then a second book that was co-edited by Annie Green, that some of you may know also, Moria knows her, of course, by Michael Stankowski and also Linda Vandercliff, who was also one of the PhD students at the time at GW. And then there was a lot of Michael Stankowski also was the editor-in-chief of Vine, and so there was a lot of articles that were published through this channel. So very productive group of academic, but also practitioners who were part of this group. Now, so I did my dissertation on this program. In fact, I was the third PhD student to graduate from this PhD in Knowledge and Innovation Management. So my research topic was on assessing knowledge management initiative success as a function of organizational culture. So trying to see how organizational culture somehow may affect the success of KM initiatives. So we have a bit of dancing background music, so which is nice. So I got my PhD. Well, it was not a PhD because it was part of the engineering management school. It was a Doctor of Science in Knowledge Management at GW. So that's the official diploma and degree. So now I can be trusted. And also, you see, I had the Hall of Fame of George Washington University. We have a brick on the floor with our name, and all the graduates had a brick. So this was a nice thing that GW was doing to keep a memory of all their graduates. Now, it ended up also that my dissertation, as you know, when you finish your dissertation, you make it available through all the academic research databases, and ProQuest was, the main channel at the time. And so in 2020, so I graduated in 2001, and 1 year later, they announced the best-selling dissertation for 2001. So, and I was at the fourth position. So I was quite surprised, and it was quite unexpected. But also at the time, there was no much research done on knowledge management. So people were more eager to read such kind of work. And the following year, I was still in the top 10. I was on the sixth position on the most sold PhD dissertation. This didn't get me very rich. I think I earned something like $100 of fees. But anyways, I was happy to see that the people had some interest into some of my work. So just to tell you a little bit about this initial research. There was a paper. If you have not read it, I will encourage everyone to read it, even though it's quite old, but I believe it's still relevant. There was a paper published in the Harvard Business Review by Hansen, Noria, and Tierney that looks at what's your strategy for managing knowledge. And in this paper, so they present two approaches for as KM strategies. One of them is the codification approach, meaning that you try in the organization, you try to codify as many knowledge as you can. And once this knowledge has been codified, then it's much easier to disseminate it and share it along the way. And so, of course, that's one of the approach that most of the consulting companies started to use. because when they were solving a problem with one of their clients, and all of their consultant could reuse this solution and apply it of course, in a different context. And the second strategy that they presented was a personalization approach. So making sure that that you have an easy way to connect with other experts who have gained some tacit or experiential knowledge, to be able to not only share but also leverage the knowledge, so being able to innovate or find novel solutions to problems that are non-common problems. So on the codification, if it's an existing problem and recurring problem, well, you can tap into these best practices or lessons learned. But if this is a completely new problem and there have not been any solutions that was identified or developed before, then collaboratively you can, by connecting people who have some experience and knowledge in the field, not particularly on this problem, but to be able to collaboratively find a solution. So that's what they propose. At the time when they propose this solution, they say that there should be a 20-80% balance between codification and personalization. So organizations should, depending on their business and their activity, should focus 20% on codification and 80% on personalization, or 20% on personalization and 80% on codification. And so this raised quite a lot of debate into the academic literature, where a lot of people say, well, this is too unbalanced, and that's not really what's happening in reality. So what I did is more or less looked for my PhD dissertation, again, based on this way to look at different KM strategy, look at how does the culture of an organization may impact the choice or the use of these approaches, of these KM approaches, and how it impacted more or less the success of their KM initiative and potentially indirectly the success of the organization. So the question was, how do you measure culture and how do you identify it in an organization? So, there are a lot of different dimensions that could be used to measure the culture of an organization. So I found at the time this framework from Goffey and Jones that wrote also an article in the Harvard Business Review, that we're looking at culture originally based on solidarity and sociability. So I found that these concepts were a bit similar and were maybe overlapping a bit. And there was a lot of research that showed also that trust was an important factor as part of the culture. So I slightly modified the original framework from Goffey and Jones, and created one based on solidarity and trust, and was able to to assess the culture of organization. So I, without getting into much detail, because I have a lot to cover. So more or less what I did, I first of all looked at what kind of technology tool practices at the time could fit into the codification dimension, what kind of practices and tools could focus on the personalization dimension. And then again, I measure the what was a balance for organization towards more codification and personalization, and also measure the success of a KM initiative. There was a paper also published by Davenport at the time that had identified some criteria to measure the success of a KM initiative based on these different dimensions. So that's also a tool that I used, looking at what the organization was expecting to achieve and what they really achieved and to which level they achieve it. Anyway, so I came up, so I at the time I conducted an online survey. I think I was one of the first PhD students to use an online survey at the time. It was really the beginning of it. So I collected data for around 100 organizations that were involved in that had some form of KM initiative at the time. And so there are some of these, again, my data could not really help to answer all my hypotheses, but was able to see that, well, if the organization had a high level of trust and high level of solidarity, it didn't really matter if they put strong emphasis on personalization or on codification. In both cases, they revealed to be successful. But in some cases where there were, for instance, high level of solidarity but low trust, the codification seems to be provide better results than the personality. A stronger focus on codification seem to bring a better results than a stronger focus on personalization, because of course, if people don't trust each other, they are not so likely to directly exchange with each other. So again, where there is an interrogation mark, it means that we could not conclude anything, and so on. So anyway, this was an initial research work. Then later on, so I continued to teach at American U for a few years, and I moved to NYIT, New York Institute of Technology in Manhattan. I was still living in Washington, D.C., but was commuting to New York to teach there. And then NYIT after September 11th, so there was a lot of families in the Middle East that were worried about sending their kids to the US because there was a lot of discrimination and so on. And so NYIT had the smart idea to open some campuses in the Middle East. So there was one in Kingdom of Bahrain, one in UAE in Abu Dhabi, and one in Amman in Jordan. So they asked for volunteers to start the school over there, and so I volunteered to help start the business school in the Kingdom of Bahrain. So I spent 1 year over there and got chance to discover also the Gulf region and culture. And then later on, so I'm getting to this in a minute. So during that time, I was thinking at some point to go back to France. And so I was highly encouraged by some colleagues that were working in the French academic system to get a French PhD, because somehow it's easier to move through the academic rank in France if I had a PhD. So I decided to run a second PhD in France that I presented in 2005. So it was on a very similar topic, but I went much deeper into looking at how trust influence against the success of KM initiative. So this one was written in France. It was much more quantitatively based, and again measuring this time not culture in general, but the role of trust more specifically. And then I moved. So I met at the time when I was in Bahrain a Thai lady, and so we decided to move to Thailand. I had never been to Thailand at the time, but I had a friend who had spent some time at Bangkok University and recommended me to go and talk to them. So I went to talk to Bangkok University to see if they would be interested in hiring me, and so they found the field to be interesting, and so they offered me a position. So Bangkok University is the largest and the oldest private university in Thailand. We have currently around 40,000 students. And then so I was offered to start a branch of the IKI. So IKI originally at GW, but since I moved to Bangkok, I offer them to create the IKI Southeast Asia. And so that's the institute I co-founded with Dr. Lakana Waranchishai, who is one of the professors at the time at the graduate school, and so we co-created the IKI together. So what is the IKI? So it's a center of excellence of Bangkok University, where we really focus on knowledge management, innovation management, and of course all the sub-disciplines. So at the time I was more or less by myself. And then over the years, so we grow, and now we have around 10 faculty, international faculty working for this institute. So at the institute, so again, when we created it in 2008, we signed an MOU with GW and the IKI in GW. And again, the idea was to continue the work of IKI. Now, what happened at IKI at GW is that when Professor Michael Stankowski retired, no one really took over the program. And so the program over time kind of disappeared. But the IKI which was hosted by GW transformed into the I2KI, the International Institute of Knowledge and Innovation, so became an independent entity. Dr. Francesco Calabresi was still the managing director and continue over the years to have it. So again, the goal of the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation Southeast Asia has always been to bridge the gap between theory and practice. So not only wearing the academic hat, but also wearing the practitioner hat, and to see how they can learn from each other. So again, our mission was really to, raise awareness in the region, in the Southeast Asian region, about the benefits of implementing KM and innovation, and to help local organizations to leverage or to start their KM and innovation management initiatives. So, like I said, this is our current team. So we do a lot of different activities. So we do corporate training with a lot of companies. I will talk about the OKS in a second, and we do some coaching, consulting. We organize a lot of different events, academic, but also of practitioners. We are part of different communities, the KM Global Network, of course, the Thai Knowledge Management Network, with which we will tomorrow organize this event. By the way, we are expecting around 200 participants, so which is quite good. We run also the Mike Awards that I will talk about later on today for the Most Innovative Knowledge Enterprise Award. So we run 2 academic programs, the PhD and the MBI, and also of course, we conduct all kind of research. So we, since 2015, the World Bank had a team that was focusing on helping the World Bank client to implement some knowledge management initiative. And they had created this framework that is called the OKS, showing that, well, if you want to implement a KM initiative in your organization, so you should have some enabling environment. So, for instance, make sure that you have some strong leadership supporting KM, having a culture of knowledge sharing, having some governance system, some IT system, some financing model to be able to support this KM program, but also some knowledge partnership, meaning that you can also not only develop knowledge management internally, but also get support from external parties. And there are also the technical skills of making sure that you know how to identify and capture knowledge, that you can format it or package it in a way that others can learn from it, and that you have also some knowledge transfer activities, and that finally you monitor and evaluate, the progress and the success of the impact of your KM initiative. So they have developed a framework, and so since this unit over the years somehow disbanded and was reallocated to different other units, so with a couple of World Bank members, we decided to continue to train people on this approach. And so that's why every year we run what we call the OKS certificate program, which is a 5.5 days training face-to-face. And so far we have been running it in Bangkok every year. So if some of you might be interested to visit and get certified on this particular methodology, so you're welcome to join. Or if there are opportunities to run this OKS certification program in Israel, so we'll be happy to come and deliver it. You can go to the website to get the full brochure and everything about it. Now we run also every year, since last year, an international conference, and I guess Moria will join us also this year. That will be happening. It's a 3-day event. We call it KIMpact. As part of the event, there is also the Global Mike Award ceremony. So for organizations that have won this award will come and receive their trophy, but at the same time share their story about knowledge management. So same thing. If some of you are interested to visit Bangkok or Thailand at that time, that's a good period of the year to come to Thailand. So these are some of the clients that we have worked with at Bangkok University, and I was involved with all of these projects, so doing all kind of work, consulting, but also corporate training and so on. Now, in 2011, we could see that there was a strong interest also in Thailand and in Southeast Asia for people who are working in the field of KM to get a higher degree. And so we started to offer, again with Dr. Lakana Warantichai here, this PhD program in knowledge management. So it was launched in 2011, so 14 years ago. Just to tell you a little bit about it, so we had many students who came from all over the world. So now it's an online program. Everyone can join remotely. It's research-based mainly. And so we have students who graduated. Maybe Moria, you might recognize Peter over here, who have participated. We have Dr. Chulatep, who's also part of our faculty now. You have Marjan, that you also, Moria, may recognize from Bahrain. And then, so you have a couple of people. Kerry was here with us today. You have also people from the Philippines, from Germany. So we have really international students. So these are the 23 who graduated already, but there are 27 in the pipeline. So most of our students are working professionals. They work in academic field, but also in a lot of international organization in consulting, banking, and so on. So, and
I think this is, Vincent, I want to stop for a minute because I think
sure.
this is a very important fact to add, because many of the KMers I know that are considering PhD are afraid or they hesitate because of the cost of stop working. And you are presenting a program that is offline, so no one has to come actually and live in Bangkok, even though I know that it's a wonderful place to be in. And B, it's the second best place after France, of course, and Provence. And B, that more important even, that it can be that you can do it while you are continuing to work in your daily job. So you can combine them both and yet have a PhD. It's doable. I did it also, but not in this program. But people, here you are offered a program that can be done in parallel of your work and doing it with Vincent. So I'll stop here. Back
Thank
to
you,
you.
Moria. Yeah, so it's nowadays it's fully online. So it's not like I said, it's research based. So during the first year, the PhD students, learn about research method, the KM and innovation theories, things like this, but not in a coursework. And but these seminars are online and are not pre-recorded. They are live online. And and then later on you can do also all your research. So we also let students pick the topic of their research. So some of them take a topic which is related to their work environment, because we want to make it as easy as possible on them, and also for students to be motivated about the topic that they work on, not just something which is imposed by their advisor. So we had a lot of students who got rewarded for the quality of their work. So it means that it shows also that we have a good, good research quality. And so some students also interested can get a dual degree with the University of Grenoble-Alpes. This one has a strong requirement to spend time in France, so which might not be easily feasible for people working full time. But we have also a new partnership with the Swiss School of Business Management, which allows students to get a second degree, a DBA, doing again only one research, and does not require students to visit Switzerland also. So anyway, it's been more than 10 years, so it has been 14 years now. These are just some picture of some of the people who've been lecturing or giving seminars in our program. And again, it goes from Dave Snowden to Art Murray to, I mean, we had really a lot of people from a lot of different field, and again, academic and practitioner. This one is a picture that we took a few years back, October 2017, with Dr. Alex Bennett and Francesco Calabresi at the time. So Alex Bennett, I'm sure a lot of you may have heard about her. She's a former Chief Knowledge Officer of the Department of Navy, but she has been when she retired, she's created the Mountain Quest Institute, and she has been involved also with a lot of activities. But so she is one of our full-time, even so she's remote, but faculty at Bangkok University. So she delivers also research seminar, and she's also advisor of some of our PhD students. But when she first came to Bangkok, I didn't know her very well. We had met rapidly in Washington, D.C. when I was there, but I never had the chance to listen to her lecture. So when she came to Bangkok, I seated in the class just to learn from her, and I learned so many new things, even though I thought I knew a lot on knowledge management, but through her eyes. And there is one model that I love that I always present that came from her work, which is so simple, but which believe is so powerful. So I just wanted to share it with you today. Is this model where whatever we do, we look for high level of performance. And again, performance in different contexts might mean different things, and that's fine. So this high performance is based on the actions that we take. The actions that we take are based on the decisions that we make. The decisions that we make are based on the knowledge which is available to us. So if we don't have any knowledge, so it's very likely, or if we have poor knowledge, it's very likely the decision we'll make will not be as good. That will have, of course, lead to some actions that might not be so impactful and might lead not to so high performance. Now, how do we create knowledge? Well, we gain knowledge through learning. When we learn something, we create or update our existing knowledge that we use to make, I guess, better decision. And there is also this feedback loop. So if we make a decision and we realize that we don't get what we expected, then there is a feedback loop. So we learn from our experience, we update our knowledge. So next time we do it, we will make a slightly different decision that will lead to different action, and hopefully will lead to better results. So I love this framework because it's very simple, but it really shows the importance of learning and knowledge in the organization, and how every decision that we make is based on knowledge. And if this knowledge is not available to us, or if it's of poor quality, then it's very likely that the decision we make will not be as good. So to me, it helps to just put in a simple model the relationship between some of these key components. And based on Alex Bennett definition, and I like also the definition she provided for knowledge, so which is a capacity to take effective action. So it's capacity. You can see that something intangible is not something like is not information, right? So it's a capacity to take effective action, and learning is a creation of knowledge. So when you learn something, you generate new knowledge, and this knowledge later on can be used for decision making and whatever. So again, when I saw this model, to me it was really an eye opener. And now, I mean, every time I teach any introductory class to knowledge management, I always reuse this very simple model, because I think it helps to put things in perspective. So
just before you continue,
yes, please.
I'll say that next month I'm visiting Alex again. I'll go to visit her in West Virginia. I'll share with her the news, the information. I'm sure she'll be delighted.
Oh yeah, I mean she knows. I mean she has been one of she inspired me a lot, and I learned a lot from her. So we are still close friends, and she's still, of course, the advisor of some of our PhD students, and she still deliver every semester 4 or 5 weekends of KM courses to our PhD students, and usually these are after this seminar, students are quite impressed about what they have learned and about also the lady herself. Yeah. So since it's again this moment of fame, so I say I got chance over the years to get a couple of recognition. So my first one was a Knowledge Management Leadership Award. So in 2014, I believe. I forgot when it was exactly. Yeah, 2014. Then later on, I got also this knowledge award from the Knowledge Management Austria Knowledge for Development Partnership, which is in fact a very, very nice award. It's a piece of art. In fact, it's a big statue that they have created, one representing knowledge and one representing innovation. And so there is a whole story around it. I don't have time now to go over it, but so it's a smaller version of this trophy, and so I was very, very proud to receive it. And also, I've been mentioned in Stan Garfield profile in knowledge management, and Moria also you're part of it, and same thing also as part of Go TKM, and Moria also you're part of it. Where are you, Moria? I saw you early on. You have Dr. Alex Bennett, you have that I mentioned about. You have of course Professor Nonaka who passed away. You have Dr. Arthur Murray that I mentioned about. You have Patrick Lamb. You have Stan Garfield and Moria. I saw you early on, but I don't see you anymore. Well, you must be somewhere, but you disappeared.
You deleted me. I understand. Here I am.
Okay.
On the middle page up there. Second row on the middle page.
Oh, here you are. Sorry. Yes, here you are, Moria. Great. So I also had a lot of academic publication. I think I have more than 100. So if you're interested, you can always Google me on Google Scholar and find some of them. Great. So let's stop talking about myself and let's talk a bit about other topic on related to knowledge, creativity, and innovation. So as you can see, just by the name of our institute, the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation, we always believed that knowledge and innovation should work hand in hand. That's why the PhD is also about knowledge and innovation and so on. So how do I see it and why we believe it's important? So again, if we go back to Albert Einstein's quote, we cannot solve our problem with the same thinking we used when we created them. So it means that we need to rethink and to create some new knowledge or to step out of our traditional mental models and come up with some new knowledge. And so creativity helps, as we often say, think outside the box, right? So there is one definition. There are, again, hundreds of definitions of creativity, as there are hundreds of definitions of knowledge management and of innovation management. But I like this. It's kind of a unified definition of creativity. And what I like about this definition is that it uses the term knowledge into it. Not all of them do, but here it's a clear. So they looked at 40 different definitions of creativity, and they extracted out of them some of these key components and recreated a unified definition. So creativity is a connecting and rearranging of knowledge. So we can see that knowledge is somehow at the source of creativity. We don't innovate out of nothing, but we innovate out of pre-existing knowledge experience that we have. So Steve Jobs once said creativity is just connecting things. And again, these things can be a lot of different things. But again, that's one of the visual I use again and again, because to me, I'm a very visual person by nature. And but I like these visuals that looks at how information somehow are disconnected, point of data put into a different context, and how knowledge is connecting this information in a meaningful way. So again, understanding the relationships that may exist between these different pieces of data. And now, how do you rearrange these connections, this knowledge? So you have a lot of freedom to do that. That's where creativity takes place. So knowledge is a raw material for creativity. I could have rearranged it into a cat, into a dog, into a house, into a flower, into a plane, whatever. It's up to me, but the raw materials still remain knowledge. And of course, not all combinations are meaningful and can lead to a successful product, service, or business model. But there is a lot of there are millions or billions of combinations possible, and finding the right combination is important. If you look back, for instance, when Steve Jobs and Apple created the first iPhone, so they didn't invent any of these technologies. This technology pre-existed, but they had the vision to somehow combine them together. So here you can think of every dot as a different technology, and then by bringing all this technology and assembling them and having them interact with each other, then they created the first smartphone. And so again, there are millions of opportunities to create new inventions here or new processes or whatever. It's just for us to link these things with each other's. And we always say we can only connect the dots that we collect. So it means that, well, if you have not identified these dots, then you don't know. You might not be able to connect them, right? So what are these dots? So these dots can be data, information, people, ideas, knowledge, content, experience, technologies, or it can be a lot of different things, right? So it's really up to us to explore, and sometimes it's a combination of them. It doesn't just have to be a combination of knowledge or technologies or whatever. Usually it's a mix that helps to bring them together. Now, the more dots you have available to you, the more connection you can make, right? So if you have a lot of dots, then you cannot make so many connections, and this can lead to a lot of new ideas and new opportunities. Now, if you only have few dots available, of course, you're quite limited in your options to come up with creative solution. Now, it's a bit the concept of in creativity, there is this approach developed by Arthur Koestler about the concept of bisociation that he presented in the Act of Creation book. And again, taking two different ideas, a concept, and combining them and coming up with something new. And a lots of creativity and lots of innovation are just based on this simple concept of combining things that were by default not connected or related, but by somehow combining them, you are able to create something new. So it's a bit, if you make the analogy with the periodic table of elements, you will combine two elements, let's say hydrogen and oxygen, and guess what? You will get something new that will be water in this case. But if you combine again this different, you add a new element to it, the carbon in this case, well, again, you get something completely different, which is a fructose. So again, not all combination end up being with something useful, meaningful, or whatever, but some of them do, and it's up to us to find this solution. So as a Frenchman, so you can say that, well, if you combine a French croissant with an American donut, so you will get a cronut, a mix of a croissant and a donut. So that's a clear example of bisociation. And again, you have some French bakers, French pâtissiers in New York that got very rich just by creating these new things. People were lining up in the streets and fighting to buy these cronuts. And again, this could have been, everyone could have come up with the idea, but well, he did, and he became rich because of that. Now you can combine also croissant with a muffin, so that will become a cruffin. And again, that didn't get as popular and as famous as a cronut, but still it was successful. So you can do combination. There are millions and millions of opportunities of combining things together. It's up to our creativity. So again, if you going back to this also when I teach intro to knowledge management, that's one of the first slides that I use also. Again, a very simple matrix, but still very powerful to me. So do we know what we know in your organization, right? Do we have a clear, you have a way to easily identify the knowledge that you have in-house. Can you provide me a roster, a listing of all the knowledge you have in-house? And most of the organization, of course, are not able to do that. So if we are if we are running into a knowledge economy, and if knowledge is our raw material, and if we cannot even identify it, how can we manage it, right? So that's the base. And same thing here when I say you need to connect the dots. If the dots are knowledge and you have not identified them, then it's very unlikely you will not be able to connect them. As it is as important, of course, to know what you don't know so you can develop or acquire this knowledge. But anyway, here we're just focusing on do you know what you know. So now, if you only look at, or if you only somehow surrounded by people who have the same kind of knowledge, or if you only looking at knowledge or technologies in your own field, then you're looking through knowledge through a particular lens, and everything to you looks like this orange circle, right? So the idea is to change perspective too, or to get to connect with new people or new network or new industries, and so this will help you to look at discover new dots of different colors, right? And by combining a yellow dot with a blue dot, guess what? You will get a green dot, right? And like this, you can develop and you can come up with much more novel combinations and solutions. So not only you can wear glasses of different colors, but you can wear glasses of different size too. And again, look for dots or look for other type of knowledge, technologies, or people in at different levels, and the connection will be different. You can wear glasses again of different shapes, right? So this will bring again an additional level of novelty into your connection. So of course this is an analogy, but just showing that the more diversity you bring into play, I mean, around with people that you are surrounded with, or with the knowledge and the information that you have access to, the more likely you will be able to find novel solution. Now, the knowledge, when we talk about knowledge, of course, we talk about individual knowledge, but also the knowledge at the team level, because the team as a team has some knowledge which is greater than the sum of the knowledge of each individual in the team. So, of course, at the organizational level, at the all the knowledge that can be available in your industry, and it is still estimated that we know less than 1% of what it is to be known in this world. So we know less than 1% of what it is to be known in this world. So meaning that there are lots of knowledge we still have to discover. There are still a lot of things we don't understand. For instance, we have more knowledge about what's happening in the galaxy, in the stars and the planets, and we have knowledge about what's happening at the deep bottom of our oceans. We still don't fully understand, for instance, how our brain works and so on. So again, some studies show that there is still a lot to be discovered, which is a good thing. And so there are lots of dots out there that we have not yet identified, and that will help us. And there is also that something I also often like to talk about, and I gave a presentation earlier on this year, I think, about the role of serendipity also in connecting these dots, right? So serendipity is the finding something good without looking for it. So there is, and we have all experienced serendipity in a lot of various ways, on how by meeting someone suddenly, or you have, this may have changed your life, or your or the course of your project or whatever, just by finding again, meeting someone or reading a book, or connecting with someone, or so on. So serendipity does play, and even in research and even in scientific research, shows an important role in expanding our existing body of knowledge. And that's where, for instance, I mean, we always talk about the role of generative AI, but generative AI can play an important also role nowadays in trying to identify potentially this knowledge that was probably more difficult early on to identify and then be able to look for potential connection. So if we go back to the well-known SECI model of Nonaka, here we are looking at combination, right? How do we combine the dots? How do we combine existing knowledge to somehow generate some new knowledge? And I believe, well, generative AI can play a role in different quadrants, but in combination, that's where it can help us. And this combination quadrant, to be honest, has been not so much studied or not so much explored in the past. We knew it's part of the SECI model to convert explicit to explicit knowledge, but other than that, very often the focus is more on socialization or codification and externalization, but very few on this. So now we have a tool, a very powerful tool that can help us look for combination. It doesn't mean that these combinations are meaningful, so we still need to have human in the loop to understand what they can help us with, but the search and the ability to explore millions or billions of combinations are now available to us. So again, GenAI can help to support this different form of dots. So Louis Pasteur said once, in the field of observation, chance favor only the prepared mind. So yeah, serendipity, you need to have a prepared mind that says, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I should further investigate this. So it's not just, people call it chance, but it's not just chance, right? It's also being ready to see an opportunity or not. If you're not open to explore new field or to meet new people, then you may miss on this opportunity. I like also this quote, the most exciting phrase to hear in science, the one that heralds new discovery. It's not eureka, but that's funny. Huh, that's funny, huh? Something happened that I didn't expect to happen. And there are so many discoveries, so many medications, for instance, that were created out of this serendipitous event. So we always use this sentence if I had seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants. So the giants here could be our past knowledge that we have acquired, right? So we should not, like I said, if we want to innovate and we need to heavily rely on knowledge, so it means that past knowledge is important to us. So is the future in the past? I will say yes, partially, but not only, because if we only rely on the past, as Albert Einstein said, so we're not going to be able to find novel solutions. So of course, we need to know what happened in the past, okay? So at least we don't repeat the same mistake or we don't explore again the same thing, but at the same time, we need to look for the future. And looking for the future, looking for the unknown is discovering new knowledge, and that's where innovation stands place. So I was attending the Knowledge Management South Africa conference in late August this year. And there was a presenter, Miss Enra Meyer, who had a slide that I liked, and I took a picture of it. So showing how KM and innovation works hand in hand, right? So KM without innovation, so knowledge is managed well, but it may miss opportunities to create new value. And same thing, innovation without KM, innovation becomes silos without the knowledge base that makes it relevant and sustain it. So there is a need to together they create a learning and adaptive organization where knowledge fuels innovation, and innovation expand the knowledge base. So again, bringing value to knowledge. If knowledge is slipping into knowledge repositories or even in AI system or whatever, so then we miss really the value. And to me, that's what knowledge management is all about, is making sure that knowledge flows in the organization. We don't manage knowledge itself, we manage its flow in the organization. So if we are able for knowledge to flow, then this knowledge will bring value and will help to be innovative or not repeat the same mistake or decrease knowledge risk and so on. Now, so as I said, we don't want to ignore the past, but at the same time, we want also to look ahead. And so that's a very well-known concept of theory that we refer as organizational ambidexterity, exploring what we know, but also exploring what we don't know. So organization should have in place this ambidextrous approach where they make sure that they exploit what they know, but at the same time, they also explore to find novel ways to create new knowledge or to find existing knowledge out there that they might not be aware of. So just skipping rapidly, I like to use this simple example because I think it helps to really understand that a lot of people think they know it all, but unfortunately they rarely do. So for instance, with this simple challenge here, how many methods can you think of to remove the water from this glass without touching the glass? And so usually when we do this small test, so people individually usually come up with 5 or 6 different methods. Yes, you can use a straw, you can warm it up or whatever. So they come up with 4 or 5 solutions. As a team, usually you're able to go up to 10, but that's roughly about it. Well, in fact, if you know exactly, there are 45 different ways to physically remove water from this glass without touching it. Now, this knowledge.
Did you ask generative AI?
No, I didn't
believe that
ask generate.
That can be very interesting, and
Yes.
as I have been reading, it will come up with common ideas. But if you tell it to come up with creative, different, diverse ideas, it will have a lot of them.
Yeah. So here this came out of just a patent database search. Okay, so here we are looking at really technical type of knowledge. But again, going through patents and extracting again what kind of physical approach could be used to do that. So generative AI, I'm sure, is connected also to some patent database. So you can extract it. So you can see that even so, we believe, like I said, I mean, as human beings, just using our brain and not being, of course, a physicist. I mean, maybe physicists will have come up with 20 on top of their head. But if you really look for what knowledge is available out there and you're able to bring it together, then this opens up much more opportunities to solve the challenge than the ones that Google came up with. So brainstorming is good and is efficient, but supporting this brainstorming with also some knowledge discovery tool or AI tool can really help to bring this brainstorming to the next level. And a lot of studies, I mean, still shows that the most creative ideas do come from the human being, don't come from the machine, because again, generative AI just regurgitate what it may have learned in the past. So again, focusing on the past, but generative AI will not come up with some new ideas that it never learned from before, right? Again, if we look at generative AI tools, they are probabilistic tool again based on existing knowledge that they have been fed with. So it will not generate new knowledge that has never been invented yet, or that it didn't learn from yet. So it can propose.
That's
some
for a
new
different discussion.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's for sure. I know we don't agree on this, Moria, but that's my view on it. And but yes, we can have different people can have different view. So anyway, there is high value to be able to identify new dots that are out there, and the machine can help us a lot with that. Now I still have 20 minutes, I believe. Well, I will leave room for Q&A, but I will go rapidly through this stage, which is also interesting, but yeah, we don't have so much time. So let me talk about the Mike Award. So you may have heard in the past about the Make Award, the Most Admired Knowledge Enterprise Award. that ran for almost 20 years, from 1998 to 2017. That was ran in the UK by Rory Chase, who was also at Teleos, who was also at some point the editor-in-chief of Journal of Knowledge Management. And then when he retired, so there were MEC representative in different parts of the world. And there was a MEC representative for Hong Kong and China that was based in Hong Kong at the Hong Kong Polytech University with Professor W. Billy and Eric Sui. And so when Rory Chase decided to retire, they say, well, we want to keep this award going, but we want also, because we want to take it to the next generation, we want also to introduce the innovation component to it. So they renamed the MEC Most Admired to MIKE, the Most Innovative Knowledge Enterprise Award, believing that, yeah, innovation and knowledge, again, works hand in hand. So they continue this program starting in 2018. So the Mike Award looks at
Vincent, again, I'm interrupting for a minute. Dear people, this section is not only for your knowledge. The section that Vincent will now describe is very important for us, so that maybe you can consider, wherever you come from Israel, Netherlands, or any other place, we would be glad if you consider to take part in the Mike Awards from next year. This year is already too late. We are open and we are willing, and anyone who wants to take part in it, if he or she come from Israel, please address me. Otherwise, please address Vincent. Thank you. Vincent, back to you.
Thank you, Moria. Yes, so we unfortunately in the past that I can recall of, at least in the mic, I don't know in the MEC, but in the mic award, we never had yet any company from Israel who applied, but I'm sure many of them will qualify to get the award, but we didn't have any applicants up to now. In the MEC, probably because he was run for 20 years, but Mike, not yet. So how does the mic work? So it's based on the again the concept that the intellectual capital of an organization operates more or less as its DNA, and it gives the capability of organization to be more innovative. So there are, in fact, 8 different criteria that we look at. So if we look in general about the field of intellectual capital, so there is a human capital dimension. So how do you empower more or less your knowledge workers to not only to share knowledge, but also to innovate. So that's probably more the work of, that's much more related to the HR field and HR development for this particular criteria. Then more the strategic aspect. I mean, does the organization has a KM and innovation strategy? Do leader walk the talk? Then second dimension is the relational capital. So what does the organization also is doing to manage its internal and external networks of various stakeholders, and also how does it manage its customers, and how does it learn from its customers? So how does knowledge flows also in between these different internal and external parties? And then the third dimension is structural capital, that is breakdown in 2 sub-level. Process capital. So what are the knowledge management practices and system in place in the organization? And what spaces also physical or virtual or a mix are given for, again, this knowledge exchange to take place? And then the innovation capital. So again, what is the organization is doing to develop a culture to support innovation, and what are some of the results of this innovation and knowledge management processes? So organization just have to fill up I mean, this report, they have to report on what they do on these 8 different pillars. There are a set of sub-questions that helps to guide what to write and how to write it. So it's by itself, it's a very good exercise because it helps the organization to reflect on what it's doing and how it's doing it. So just by itself, even if you don't apply, you can already try to fill up the assessment form, and you will learn from it. So here we every year, so we receive candidates from different countries. So there are 2 levels at the Mike Award. There is first a national or regional level where organizations apply. For instance, in our case, we manage Southeast Asia, so we receive application from the Southeast Asian region. So we have a committee that evaluates it, and then the winner of each region or each country then compete at the global level. So here we can see some of our international Global Mike Award reviewers who do that all voluntary. So Moria, you should be here also somewhere. Here you are on the top left. We have Susan Durst who is with us today. You have Devraj who is with us also today. I didn't look at who is here completely. I didn't look at the list yet, but these are some of the one I could notice.
We have another
the...
representative from Israel, if I recall. If I remember,
Yes.
Dana Sher also.
Yes, yes.
I don't see him here, but he's also from Israel. Also
Because
contributes this.
he did it for the national level, correct. This is just the global level. So yes, we have many, we try to have really people from all over the world, from academic and practitioner, and also, do the assessment. So again, a big thank you to all of them because they do that every year on a voluntary basis. So last year we had 21 organizations who received the Global Mike Award. And again from different countries, and we have this annual celebration. And again, that's what I mentioned earlier on, the Global Mike Award ceremony, the KIMpact Forum. So last year, our companies came from these different countries, a lot of them from Asia per se. They come from a lot of them are in the government. Particularly, we can see like in Hong Kong, there are lots of government agencies that are applying for the Mike Award. But we have also universities. We have one Binus universities in Indonesia who also apply, and many organizations also from India. And we have Devraj here with us today, who's also from Tata Group, and Tata Group has been doing a lot of great stuff in knowledge and innovation management. So the age of the companies that have that are applied usually are, some of them are quite young, they are 15 years old, some of them are much older, but the average age is 57 years old. 67% are not listed and 33 are listed in the stock market. Now, the units that are in charge of knowledge management really vary. So some of them are handled by HR, HRD, which I believe is great. Some of them are more on the related to the quality assurance level, or some of the learning groups. So again, it varies from organization to organization. So I just try to group them by main group: people focused, innovation focused. Some of them are also handled hand in hand with the innovation team, which is a wonderful thing. To who do they report to? So 29% really report to the strategic leadership level, and some of them again report to human capital or different other level. Usually they are small size. I'm just keeping rapidly. We ask them. So these are the winner for 2024. So currently we are evaluating the winner for 2025. So we ask them, how many of you are thinking about getting ISO certified? So 52 say we are thinking about it, and 24 said yes. And again, this year the number may have changed. And we ask them also about their likelihood to be certified on innovation management. And we can see approximately the same ratio.
Just a number behind your head. There was another number behind your head. How many are yes?
Oh, undecided, sorry. I don't see myself. Yeah, unfortunately nowadays we don't see this anymore. Sorry if I'm covering a bit of the slide. Anyway, I will share the slide. You can have them. How do you expect your organization investment in KM to change? So for lots of them, there is a positive increase, which shows a lot of interest. So KM is not dead. Same thing for their innovation management initiative. A lot of them expect some growing numbers. Where do they see value for opportunities for KM to capitalize on? So to get more leaders to recognize and treat knowledge as a strategic asset seem to be one of the top opportunities where they saw. Also using generative AI or AI technology, as a way to scale up their KM initiative. Again, becoming more innovative here and partnering with some of the KM from the other business function of the organization. What is your business priorities? 19% on operational efficiency, 16% on continuous learning, 11% on innovation, and 10% on digital transformation. Okay, so very, very interesting to see. Yes, I mean, for sure, supporting the baseline and process and operational efficiency, but also allowing the organization to learn as a learning organization, while at the same time benefiting of this value to be able to become more innovative and supporting the existing digital transformation project in place. So fits very well with KM. And their biggest threat was, again, KM impact is hard to measure, which is, I mean, it should not be that way, because if originally the KM strategy is fully aligned with the business strategy, there should be an easy connection, but still seems to be a struggle for some of the organization. Employees are overworked and don't think they have time for KM. I mean, that's still, again, a challenge that has been there for many years. Again, how do we make sure that KM is embedded in the way that people work, not something, an add-on that they have to do on top of their work? KM may be lost in broader digital transformation strategies. I mean, to me, that's not a problem. I mean, we don't have to call it KM as long as it's happening, and whatever it's labeled. For me, for my case, I don't mind. And leaders are focused on what they see as more urgent problem or opportunities. So that's, again, a missed opportunity. I mean, if leaders still don't recognize the value and the benefits that KM can bring, that's, I mean, still sad in this 21st century. So I don't know. I have 7 minutes left. I will be happy to share this slide with some of the findings. I still would like to have opportunities to interact with the participant. What do you think, Moria? What do you suggest?
Let's try. Let's see if people have questions. And then if we have several minutes left, we can, of course, come back to some nice ideas. But the idea of thinking about Mike was we have a shared award. It's important. It can help each organization to not only understand where they are, but to take themselves forward. I see it as temporary one for the 5 coming years until people move to ISO, but it will take time. But it's a good opportunity, and we are calling organizations to check it.
Yeah, it's a nice stepping stone, and also something I didn't mention, which I believe to me is the most value of doing the Mike Award is that, well, in addition of getting the prize or recognition and doing the self-assessment, you also get feedback from the international committee, which is useful, and you also get access to all the application of all the winners. So last year we had 23 winners. So if you were part of this winner, you have access to the 22 application of the other companies. So it's a very good, what I call bench learning opportunities to see what the others are doing in these different aspects and also to learn from them. So that's something which is usually very difficult to have access to. You have organizations that APQC or whatever, I mean, allow you to benchmark, but very often you don't get very detailed information, where in our case, I mean, that's part of when you join the Mike Award competition, you agree that you will be open to share also. So you have ways, before we share, you have ways to remove some strategic information or whatever. And then when it's ready to be shared, then you can you have access to the other applicants. Great. So that's more or less my journey in
does
26
anyone have
years.
any
But
questions?
yes, let's have a few
I
questions.
saw a request for the slides, so if you can share the
Yes, I
slides
will.
later on,
Sure,
that's
sure,
the
I
easy
will.
one. Does
Yes.
anyone want to raise his or her hand, and do anyone of you have a question?
You have a question for you, Moria, that you can answer also in the chat. Anthony McCarthy that says, how do you get ISO 30401 certified? So you can take this question now or later on, but as you want. But if we have a
I'll
question
wait to
from
see
the
if we
audience,
have
yes.
KM.
Yes.
Maria,
Yes. Yes.
Maria,
Glenroy.
this is
Yes.
Glenroy London from Trinidad and Tobago. I have a question.
Please, Glenroy. Good to see you.
So hi folks, how you all doing? This presentation was really great. But here my question. I am dealing with the concept of ancestral intelligence as it relates to infinite intelligence. So as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So we move in cycles, in circles. So is there really any new knowledge, or are we rediscovering knowledge that was there from time immemorial? And as we go into the future, it's how we apply that knowledge to add more value, to be more innovative. But I am thinking that the knowledge has always been there. I think it's called ancestral knowledge. It came from the ancestors. So how do we now integrate ancestral knowledge with infinite knowledge?
Okay, thank you for your question, Glenroy. It's not an easy one, but I mean, knowledge is around us. Like I said, the dots. I mean, some of the dots have been articulated, and like I said early on, it is estimated that less than 1% of these dots have been articulated. So there are still a lot of dots out there that we have not identified. And yes, so it's around us, but it just requires us to see to formalize it or to articulate it. Now, there is also, I mean, some knowledge that was discovered in the past and maybe that was lost over generation or whatever. But yes, I mean, is what research is all about, right? Is understanding what's around us and what we have not yet been able to do. So yes, so I more or less agree with your vision that knowledge is out there. It's just for us to go and grab it. Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you so much. Vincent, lovely presentation. You can imagine specifically for me, no? Obvious reasons. I do have a short question for you based on what you have presented and based on your numerous experience from a research point of view, but also from a perspective of a practitioners. What would be or what could be promising direction to take on, maybe from your point of view, because you can really look back to the beginning of knowledge management? Is there maybe something we should dig into again, or deeper? So talking about the future, what are your future avenues?
Okay, thank you so much, Suzanne. And yeah, I can also officially announce it. So Suzanne will join us also at the IKI full-time in Bangkok starting in January. So we'll have an additional top member in our dream team. Yeah, so that's a very good question. You know, when we started at GW, this KM team, we said, well, in 5 years from now, we will no longer talk about knowledge management because it will have become mainstream to all organizations. And we are 25 years later, and we are still struggling to get organization to realize the value of knowledge. So we still don't have, I think, the right or the proper way to. It's not just about the sales pitch, and that's something I always say when I talk about particularly in the consulting work, and which is very relevant with what you have done, Suzanne. I mean, you can show all the value of implementing knowledge to an organization, and everyone will agree, yes, it's great, it has a lot of value or whatever. But again, it's not as part of our top priority, like I was showing as part of the statistic. But as you done a lot of work on this, if you say, okay, have you identified what are the risks of not managing knowledge? Then suddenly people feel that they are accountable if they don't do anything to mitigate this risk. And then they are more open to maybe look at it and say, okay, well, if I don't do anything, I'm responsible for it. And then, I might have to pay the consequences because I didn't act on it. So, so why are we still struggling? I mean, I believe that, knowledge is still seen as power for lots of people, and they still believe that, if they hide their knowledge, and again, we have, I think Carrie also part of the team here who's done her PhD on knowledge hiding. If they hide knowledge, they still will remain competitive and confident and so on. But in this age of AI and generative AI, we see more and more that machine can learn a lot from us, from our behavior, from our exchange, from the document we create or whatever. So we see that it probably will not take long that all of us might have a digital twin, and that our digital twin is going to somehow handle some of the tasks that maybe we don't need to be involved with, and where leaving us maybe to focus on some tasks that might be more context sensitive or require more creativity or more whatever. So so I believe there are going to be a lot of collaboration that will help to support. So maybe people will, well, I mean, for sure are going to get much more worried now about sharing their knowledge because they know that the machine is going to learn from it. So hopefully this is not going to close the door completely. But hopefully they will see it as a way to further develop themselves or empower themselves. So, so I think the future for sure will be a combination on how human and machine will collaboratively deal with some knowledge sharing or new knowledge discovery future. Now, what are some new field of research? Well, there are for sure, I mean, some of them related to the use of technology, but at the end of the day, I think we are still struggling to be able to easily articulate some of or understand some of the things we do and how we do them. And so on knowledge capture, if we look at knowledge engineering, for instance, I think we are still a bit behind. And again, generative AI tools can help us maybe at some certain level to help us structure or codify or read behind the line. But to me, it still remains, I mean, it will always be a tool. And so we're not going to be replaced fully by machine, but we will work hand in hand. So in the innovation space, I mean, I think also the
Vincent,
connection. Yes.
We are 4 minutes.
Oh,
after
yes,
time,
sorry.
so
Yes. Yeah, okay.
I see you're carried away for good reason.
Okay, so there is. I believe there are still a lot of opportunities to do research, and hopefully, and PhD students are still exploring this part. So. Thank you so much for that, and we welcome you in the team to help us also look into this future KM research.
Thank you very much, Vincent.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you everyone for joining, also from the Israeli KM community and from the global KM community. And see you on all KM Global Week events, virtual, online, physical, hybrid, wherever.
Have a wonderful KM week, and thank you all for listening to me today.